All right, folks, today we're going to be taking a look at this 2022 Nissan Pathfinder XV. And I think this look is a massive upgrade from the styling of old that you see in this one. And so I've seen these on the road, and I had a chance to take a look at a green one, which is probably my favorite color on this vehicle. It was like a hunter green color, but this one's not bad. I think the styling is a little bit edgy, but then it's a little understated as well, if that makes sense, but that's just my opinion. So this one is sitting on 18-inch wheels. So these wheels are not that big, and I've gotten bit by the big rim bug, so I would probably like 19s on this vehicle. That would still leave you with some rubber, but this is fine. This definitely still looks like an SUV. And I think this probably competes with the Highlander. They're very similar shaped vehicles. I do like the plastic cladding along the bottom. It makes it look a little bit more rugged, a little bit more utilitarian, but I don't think it's overly masculine to where a woman wouldn't want to drive this vehicle. This is bigger than the Rogue, obviously. And I like the turn signal accents in this mirror here. The two-tone is cool. There's no chrome on this, which I kind of like. We'll just take a look in the back here. So it's kind of tight spacing. Like a lot of other manufacturers, they're going to the lettering on the back of the vehicle that's spelled out and not like a little plate. So yeah, it looks good in the back. I like that this lid kind of overhangs, so it's kind of like a spoiler of sorts. But yeah, the rear end looks good. You do not have exposed exhaust on this vehicle, which is okay. It looks like they're a bit recessed, which is good if you're doing some off-roading. But yeah, not a bad looking vehicle. I like the wheels. I just wish they were a little bit bigger. So we'll just come around here. You have a roof rack on this one, and you have your shark fin up here, which is to be expected for a 2022 model. So I think this vehicle was redesigned in 2022. To me, it's a good look. It looks strong, it looks modern, and I think it'll age well. And this is a 2017 model, FYI, but I feel like they held on to this style for a while. So this looks very 2010s to me. It's not a bad looking vehicle. Some people just hate it, but this is a little bit more boxier. With being modern. There's a Kia Telluride right here, so I would probably give the Kia Telluride a little bit of an edge in the looks department, but not by much. So let's take a look. And I do like this paneling here. The only thing about this paneling is it can get scratched up and look bad in time. You just want to make sure you take good care of it. We'll actually start under the hood. This vehicle has a 3.5 liter V6 engine. All right, so here we are looking under the hood. I'm grateful to see this V6 engine. It doesn't have variable compression like some other products of Nissan. So this engine has 284 horsepower and 259 pound-feet of torque. I do feel like the output could be a bit better in this vehicle. I think 0 to 60 is about 6.7, 6.6 seconds. So, I mean, it does haul this vehicle very well. It has good power. You'll probably average, like, I don't know, in the 20s, 23 miles per gallon in mixed driving. Don't quote me on that. But they did ditch the CVT transmission starting this year, and now you have a 9-speed. So I'm grateful for that. That probably does help with acceleration. Looking in here, you know, your battery's very accessible. You have your air box here. You're not going to be doing much to a modern engine, but your fluid reservoirs are all pretty accessible. So I like that. I just wish this car had a bit more power. I think they could, you know, I mean, this engine, they've been doing a 3.5 since the early 2000s. They could have easily pulled out 300 horsepower and maybe like 279 pound-feet of torque. But I get they have to lean towards fuel economy and that sort of thing. And I also wish, since this is a mid-sized SUV, this had hydraulic struts on the hood. And I don't know, to me, once you get to this range, I know trims vary. And that's why picking the right trim is super important, because on the commercials, you see all the features, all the specs, and there's like a $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 spread from the base to the top trim. I think the top trim on this would be like a platinum. SV is like a mid trim or maybe a lower mid trim because the S is the base trim. So I do like the badge here. I think it'd be cool if it lit up. This isn't a luxury vehicle though, so I think the headlights are dope on this vehicle. I don't know how well they're going to age. They do look edgy and futuristic now, but I like Hyundai Kia's implementation with the long DRL. This one has one, but it's just not as well implemented as Hyundai and Kia have done. So the Pathfinder does have a place in my heart because in the 90s, they were super popular vehicles. The late 90s, early 2000s, Pathfinders were pretty dope. This door feels solid. This is soft touch. I like the stitching here. It's soft touch all the way down. You have some cup holders and cubby space there. You could put your keys in here. You know, these switches are nice. For once, I don't lament not having metallic trim because I like this black metal, or excuse me, this black plastic finish. This is nice. You have your speaker down here. Looking inside, obviously this isn't a leather interior, but it looks nice. It's not doing too much. I love that we have a flat bottom steering wheel. And the step up is not bad getting in this vehicle, and I feel like I'm sitting up a bit. I can see over the hood. I'm not sitting up above it, but I do have a good line of sight. This vent has good placement here. I love the use of leather here. That's pretty dope. Again, this steering wheel, I'm a fan. It's a good size. You have a 9-speed transmission. I mean, the paddles are unnecessary, but I think it's cool when you have 9 gears. You know, that makes sense. You have radar, cruise control. I don't know what that is. That might be a pano camera. You have your cruise control adjustment here, Bluetooth settings here, horn sounds strong here. So your volume controls here. This looks a little bit old school. I think Toyota has something like that. I would like to see a screen. I'm not necessarily begging for a touchscreen, but these borders are just way too big. It's like one of those old school DVD players with the flip up screen. It just doesn't match the aesthetic of the cabin. Even though this doesn't have leather, it's very, very well done. I like the use of the piano black in here. And they used it, you know, tastefully too. It's not like overdone. This isn't piano black and this, and so you do have some matte finish in here. So it's a very good blend. I love to see the electronic parking brake. Auto stop start is here. This is pretty straightforward. Your controls here are straightforward. You have heated seats. I'm sure you could probably get ventilated seats. This is soft touch. This is kind of soft. It's foam. Sorry, this is foam. But here's a look at the cabin. So I like the texture in here. I like the ribbing in this seat. These seats don't have a ton of bolstering, but they are grippy, so they hold you in place. Here's a look at the cabin here. We'll take a look at that in a second. You do have, I think this is LED lighting, but I don't like this kind of milky, non-translucent plastic here, but it is what it is. You have your SOS, a blank key here where options go. So all in all, this is a very, very nice interior, especially in the driver's seat. You have your mix of analog, digital, gauge, clustering going on here. This seat is comfortable. I like the back support. It feels good. So cannot complain. You do have incandescent lighting here. So I guess this visor does slide. So that's pretty dope. And this rear view mirror is kind of small, but that's what you have a backup camera for. And there's good vent placement here. And these feel sturdy. So this interior, it feels sturdy. There's not a ton of creaking. The cup holders are in a good place. You have a drive mode selector here. You know, you have a pretty straightforward cubby in here. And a good choice of charging ports. So I like that. All 3 of the mainstream ones. So pretty dope. So hopping back here, the tailgate is automatic. And one thing I like about this SUV is that the tailgate comes up. You don't need a ton of space. So if you back into a parking space like this and you have a car pretty close, you still are able to load stuff in the back. There's not a ton of room back here. This is a mid-size SUV with a 3rd row. So this is a good amount of space, you know, for a third row SUV of this size. You have good storage space down here. This is going to be a soft close. I love that. It stays up so you can load stuff. See, so this is a very practical vehicle with good utility. You have a charge port right here. So Nissan put some thought into this design, and I'm here for it. You don't have automatic buttons to put the seats down, but you just pull these to let this down, and then you can fold the seats down here, so you get a bit more space that way. And I like that they kind of bowed this out a little bit so that you could, you know, kind of maximize the space available. I'm gonna show you this closing because it looks like it would tap that other vehicle, and it doesn't. That is a pretty tight space. As you can see, I did reach for the door because I was concerned, but I love that. That hatch is very, very well done. Again, these gunmetal wheels are beautiful, even if they are a little smaller. Stepping inside, this is hard touch, soft touch. You still have this, you know, glossy finish around the trim of the window switch. I like that. You have a very usable cup holder right here. You have another one down here. There is a little bit of a step up, but it's not like that harsh. You have matte pockets on both sides. This fabric, you might say, is a little scratchy on the back, but it's gonna last a while. You do have climate controls back here, some good options as far as charging back here. These seats are comfortable. They hold you in place. Above average comfort is what I would say, but they're flat. There's no bolstering back here. You could sit 3 adults back here. It would be tight. I wouldn't want to do it, but if you look, my feet have some place to go. You know, I wear a size 13, so I don't have the smallest feet. And I don't feel like I'm sitting up above anything. Here's a look at the cabin from this second row. Very, very nice, very classy. We do have vents right here. It looks like incandescent lighting in here. That could be an LED, I'm not sure. Hopefully it is, but you have your grab handles here. Very old school. I would like to see a grab handle here, but this, again, isn't like a Jeep or a Bronco where that's gonna be the case, where you have a strong pillar and doors that come off. So one other thing, you do have a speaker grill here. It is plastic, it's a part of the door, so that's forgivable. We do have a button here so we can get in the back seat. I like that. Okay, and one other thing I love about this SUV is that not only does the seat kind of flip up with this button, but you can adjust it. So very well done by Nissan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, due to my struggles in getting in the third row of this SUV, I accidentally hit stop record on my camera, and I only have this footage from when I was back there briefly. Needless to say, the back seat is for children. There are 3 seat belts back there, so technically you could classify this as an 8-seater SUV. However, I would say it's 6 at most, and it would have to be 2 very short adults in the back, maybe under 5'6", 5'7". Other than that, it would have to be children and 3 very small children if you put 3 people back there. You know, it's still a well-designed SUV, but those are just the limitations of this footprint. In this part of the video, I'm just pointing out the fact that the interior is darker than it appears in this video. It is a, you know, jet black interior. It's black on black. It looks really good, but I think there's some auto HDR going on there. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and hop back into the video, and thank you for watching. Nice SUV with great utility. I am surprised, pleasantly surprised, it doesn't have a CVT. I like the engine. I wish it had more output, but it'll last longer just because you're not pressing it and forcing, you know, as much pressure into the engine to get that performance. So that's helpful in the long run, as long as it's adequate to pull the vehicle. You know, I say, yeah, this is a go.